You speak about a lot about biotechnology. I noticed in those new technologies. So these are things that we spoke about before, as far as the ARC Fund, ARKG, which is a biotech ETF, IBB, which is a biotech ETF, BBH, which is a biotech ETF, a few others. Those are all biotech ETFs, and we spoke about, how biotech is probably going to be one of the leading industries in the next decade. That's a safe bet to say. Biotechnology is something that is only going to get bigger and bigger. And then also the untraditional companies that you mentioned, as far as Apple and Microsoft, who Apple definitely, I think, is already positioning themselves to be in the health, with the health app on the phone. There's no anytime Apple does anything, it's done intentionally. So just them making a strong push with just the health app, and just on the Apple Watch, of just monitoring your calories and monitoring the steps that you take every day. They're already moving towards the health. And as I was telling somebody the other day, healthcare is the biggest business in the world. It makes up 23% of the American budget, which is the biggest by far. Big next is the military, which is I think 15%. So you have, and this is why, you talk about Medicare, Medicaid, and all of these things. Almost a quarter of the American budget of over trillions of dollars is spent on healthcare. So we talk about all these different industries, but healthcare is the biggest industry. By a landslide, healthcare is the biggest industry.
That's because there's no preventative medicine in play, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, well, that's done intentionally as well. Yeah. I mean, medicine's a business. Pharmaceutical companies are a business, billions-dollar business. So, of course, is in some people's interest to have that system going. But regardless of anything, the healthcare industry is definitely something to look into, to examine, to fully understand, because I don't think we've talked about it enough. We talked about it a lot, but I don't think people fully understand how big the healthcare industry is, how important the healthcare industry is. It's inevitable. People always die, no matter what. It's inevitable. People always get sick. There's always going to be viruses. There's always going to be outbreaks. These things happen, and it's going to happen more and more. So something to think about.
Yeah, and I'll just add to it really quickly in that if you look at, and if we talk about Apple, right, they're thinking 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, right? So they're just releasing things at a very nano pace, right? So if we think about each edition of each watch, there's a new feature, right? First, it starts out with it tracks your steps, then it tracks your heart rate, then it tracks your blood pressure. So these things, right, they already have the next 5 years of things that they're going to release, to now that they are set up in the healthcare space as well, but Amazon as well. Right.
Absolutely.
If you want to think about the e-commerce business, and especially when it comes to health, right? Imagine now when it's 20-minute shipping for your medication, right? So these things, these companies who have the most and have a stream dominance and competitive advantage, they're going to be strong. They're going to be strong for a long time.
Yes. Whenever Apple Watches begin to track your heart rate and they tell you when you're close to having a heart attack, right, or if you're outside of the range of your normal
heartbeat,
that's when they're going to usher that in. I'm looking at the comments. You guys are saying IBB versus ARKG. Listen, I love Kathy. Put yes in chat if I made you money. That's what I want you to do for context. But ARKG is taking. Okay, let me ask you this: who has more money right now, Apple or ARKG?
Apple.
Not even close.
Kathy is still under attack. I know Josh is supposed to be doing a conference. Kudos, Josh Brown. I know he's doing an interview with Kathy, I think in November or January. And I sent him a question that I wanted him to ask about her being under attack, but that attack is not over. I want you guys to be very careful. And I'm saying this out of love. I want you guys, if I don't say I love a company, there is a reason why. Despite some of the frugality that you see from me, I like money. So if ARKG was the move definitively, I would say it. Proceed at your own caution. There are some other funds that she has that I think are superior, but ARKG you got to stay away from right now. IBB is a hell of a lot better, and I have no relationship with iShares. Just being honest, IBB is just a better pick overall, long term and short term.
There you have it. IBB over ARKG.
We're in both.
I'm in IBB.
I think I'm in ARKG.
I am an IBB.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. This is questions that I feel like we're just hitting every topic that everybody wants to hear. These are just individual stock questions. because I know people always want to know individual stocks, like, so we pick a couple every show to talk about. The first one is a very interesting one that we've been talking about here and there. Jamal was invested in heavily. Teladoc.
Yeah.
Right on this medical conversation.
Yeah.
It's Teladoc.
Yeah, it's great because I feel like Ian gave a perfect example of what Teladoc could be doing. Right?
Can you tell them what Teladoc is? So anybody doesn't know what Teladoc is?
So it's a virtual healthcare company, right? So they had a nice run during the pandemic, right? Because people saw it as a way that, like, I don't have to. Well, number one, getting an appointment was tough. Going to the doctor was tough. And so the virtual route became very popular. And it was something that, all right, this could be the wave of the future. As people start to go back out into the world, as doctors' offices are now open, we've seen a slight pullback in Teladoc. They also changed their COO.
A slight.
I'm trying to be Jamal's my friend. Jamal's my friend.
Gotcha.
I don't want to keep rubbing this pain in. Yeah. So they were at a high of 286. What are they at now, Ian?
134.74.
Yeah. So they've had a pullback, and those are just some of the reasons. But they're in a space again with the virtual healthcare that, again, if Apple comes into the space, which we already know they are, Amazon, that competition is hefty.
What's your thoughts on Teladoc?
You want the hard truth or no?
The hard truth, only the truth.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
What'd you say?
I said the hard truth.
Nah, that's not.
That's not.
And shout out to whoever. Hey, listen! Shout out to whoever cut that clip up.
That was hilarious.
It was
hilarious.
I'm not gonna repeat it, but I had paused myself and Ian paused himself. Yeah. It's a New York thing, man. We're not gonna grow. We can't grow up on that.
Here's the funny thing. When we were in, and to my IU people, I was invited to University of Michigan. I'm not trading in my Hoosier colors, right? But
it was killing you.
Yeah, but there's a scene in The Big Short where they go to a strip club and they're listening to the strippers tell them, these are investors, like, hey, I have 3 mortgages. And then at that moment, they were like, damn, I know this market is really messed up. So we're walking through University of Michigan. I'm like in all of the campus. Then we get into the arena. The first thing I notice is 80,000 people in the arena, and I can't see a fucking mask for a mile. True. So if people are not wearing masks, you think that they're actually going to a doctor, let alone Teladoc. No.
Good luck. Right.
It's not happening. I think the idea was great. I think the business has incredible potential. I think the management is great. But if the stock was at 308 and it's at 134 now, it's probably going to come back down to 83.50. That would be a decent area if you are a true believer in it. But if most people are not, and let me ask a survey here. How many of you have used Teladoc in the last 8 months? Put yes in chat if you have.
Be hard pressed.
Oh.
It's a few.
Shout out to her. You know what, Ian? I think, and some of it might be generational, right? Like it would be hard pressed for, like, I could imagine my parents trying to do a virtual visit. Mm-hmm. Like there's just some things that they've grown accustomed to that they're very stringent about. Like going to the doctor is one of them. Actually sitting down in the doctor's office. Whereas we come from a generation was like, if I don't have to go, if I could do this over the internet, let's just do it. And like you said, like we would 106,000 people, no mask.
I didn't see a mask.
I think you. I think you were the only one.
You had a mask.
You were the only. Well, I had mine. I had mine. It's just we got stopped a few times.
No mask.
So at 83.50, I like it, but other than that, it's too high.
83.50. Wow.
My name is my name.
Wow. Jamal, I'm sorry, bro.
50.
Hopefully he
I like, if I had to put, and for those of you who are new, when I give a price, I'm like, okay, if I had to put every dollar that I had, what price would I get in? 83.50 is where I would look, because anything in between that, and I talked about it in InvestFest, but I want you guys to stop buying in the middle. If you know the top price is 308 and the all-time low is 908, why would you buy in at 195 when it is not a dominant player? Okay, let me ask everyone this in chat. Name me 5 better healthcare companies for those of you that work in the healthcare field than Teladoc. Now, in tech, name me 5 better companies than Apple. Cat Williams' voice. Don't worry. I'll wait. There isn't one. There isn't one. I can name you probably 7 companies off the top of my head that are direct competitors, and then probably 14 or 15 ancillary healthcare companies that are better than Teladoc. I think it's a great company, but it was a good move for last year. Yeah. Like I said before, last year we got to, everyone was having all. Last year was like when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa was on steroids. Now we get to see who can really play.
Hell of a season.
Yeah.
That's the last time I actually cared about baseball.
Seriously?
Yes. Everybody was tuned in for that.
Hey, shout out to our sports debate show coming out very soon. Ian, you got a sneak peek.
You got a spirited debate. Oh, you
soon reach. Soon reach. Soon reach. Well, that is that on Teladoc.
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop.